Hey guys, so this is going to be my Rainbow Six Siege operator tier list for the year of 2022. I made one of these last year in like April, and now it's July, so it's been a while. I've been trying to get this video out for a long time. I was originally going to do it in Season 1, and then I decided to wait till Season 2, and Season 2 it is. So we're finally going over this. We got 64 operators in the game now, so quite a few of them. And basically I'm going to do this the exact same I did last year, where we have 5 tiers going from D to S. And I'm just going to be ordering all of the operators in the game based on my own personal opinion and just like how I play with them, or sometimes how I see like enemies or you know, teammates playing as them as well. I'm going to be rating mostly on their abilities, but also taking into account their like gadgets and weapons and stuff as well. But yeah, obviously this is all my own opinion, and with that said, I guess let's get started. So I did double check to make sure that all 64 operators are here, and they are, and this is also all ordered basically from oldest to newest. So last year when I did this, all the operators were kind of in a random order, but now these are actually all in order. So I'm just going to be going down the list as it's made here, and we're going to start rating all of these operators. So first up is Sledge. Now, Sledge is a pretty decent operator. It's like Sledge is a very easy operator for people to get started with. His ability is super simple. He can only breach soft walls, but you know he's got this hammer which you can use like a ton of times. And overall, like there's nothing really bad about Sledge, nothing really that great about him either. Just like super well-rounded. So that's going to be straight to B tier. We might as well do the other SAS operators here as well. So next up is Thatcher. Thatcher I think is a little bit overrated. He has an EMP grenade which can shut off any electronic basically. But yeah, like he isn't amazing, but his ability is super useful. He gets like banned all the time and stuff too. But I'm not really rating based on that. So I'll put Thatcher in A tier just because he's super useful, but I don't think he's top of the line. So we'll put him in A. Smoke is pretty awesome. I used to play Smoke a lot, not as much anymore. His ability is really good when it works, but most of the time I find like trouble actually, actually using Smoke's ability to kill people or whatever. It's more used to kind of like push people away or keep the attackers out. So yeah, Smoke is pretty good, but I'm gonna put him in B tier. And then we have Mute, who I usually hate playing against. It's just really annoying. He has these like almost kind of like similar to Thatcher's ability, but on defense. Place them down on the ground, and it just stops like any kind of attacker electronic from getting close to you. So it's really annoying when you're trying to drone and stuff. But overall, you know, Mute being annoying on the enemy team actually makes him a pretty good operator because obviously he's obstructing what you're trying to do. And then when I play Mute, I usually don't find him that good. I mean, he's got some decent guns and stuff, but like, yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of Mute. So overall, whether he's on my team or the enemy team, I don't really like him. I'm going to put him in C tier. Okay, so next up are the FBI operators, starting with Thermite. So Thermite is basically the most basic hard breacher. He just makes a giant hole, and it's really useful for the team. He's a good support operator. It's pretty straightforward. I think I will put Thermite in B tier. Next up is Ash. Ash is another one of those overrated operators, I would say. She is great for rushing and stuff, and apparently she has a really small hitbox, which I don't doubt. But her actual ability, I mean, it's cool that she can shoot it from a range, and she has 2 of them, but they can only breach soft walls, and most of the time it seems like almost every operator in the game has a way to breach soft walls, so it doesn't become that useful. I'm going to put her also in B tier. Then we have Pulse. Pulse is an interesting operator because I feel like he actually takes a lot more skill over some of the other Pathfinder operators, like operators that came out with the game's release in like 2015. And yeah, I usually do not do that well with Pulse. I've seen some crazy things done with him before, so I'm going to put Pulse in, I think, C tier. And then we have Castle. Now this one's going to be a little bit controversial. A lot of people love Castle. A lot of people think he's a really good operator. I do not. I think Castle is actually pretty bad. I don't even like his guns. The semi-automatic shotgun he has is probably one of my least favorite shotguns in this game. Plus the UMP doesn't really do it for me either. His ability, I find it very easy to get through when I'm on attack. Like, a lot of people complain about it. You know, even if you don't have any way of breaching it, you gotta punch it like a few times, but like eventually it breaks. So basically anybody can get through a castle barricade. And when people on my own team are playing castle, I feel like it screws me up a lot of the time because you got this big barricade on the doors that takes longer to pull down than a regular barricade if you need to get through it. You can't punch holes in it or anything. And then a lot of the times I'm trying to get out of sight or whatever, so I break down a castle barricade, and then of course the castle on the team will get upset because they have to replace it. So Castle is a big troublemaker for me. I don't like him. He's actually going to be our first D tier operator of tonight. Alright, so we're moving on to the GIGN. First up is Montang. Montang is an operator that tons of people hate because basically he's just a regular riot shield operator, but he's able to extend his shield so it covers his whole body. And he can be very useful on attack for like, you know, like a rush planting or something like that, where you get in and plant, and then Montang can just kind of protect the diffuser with his shield. Pretty annoying to play against, and that actually makes him quite good. So Montang himself as an operator, I would say, is a pretty bad op, but there's a lot of times actually where Montang can be a real struggle to play against, or a great asset on the team. And like, honestly, I'm going to put Montang in B tier because of that. And then next up is Twitch. Twitch is pretty useful. I don't like playing Hezzer very often. I'm not the biggest drone user in this game, and I don't like her weapons that much either. But Twitch can be very useful to have on the team for dealing with, you know, enemy devices and stuff. So I think I will put Twitch in B tier as well. Then we have Doc. Doc is pretty bad, and he's also become worse over time because of Thunderbird. When I did my tier list last year, Thunderbird wasn't out yet, so I think I actually put Doc in like C tier. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, Doc is like a basic medic. He's not even that good. He has like 3 shots that he can use. He can heal himself or his teammates, and he can also revive. But yeah, since Thunderbird has come out and she's so much better now as like a medic, Doc has basically become like super bad. So like Doc is going straight in D tier. Then we have Rook, who is an interesting one because I used to think that Rook was pretty bad, but now I've started to play Rook a lot more actually, and he's actually really useful, like no matter who's playing as him, because he provides armor for the whole team. Probably the easiest operator to use ability-wise. His weapons are also really good. He's the only defender that has a 2.0 on an SMG. As far as I know, he has a 2.0 like zoomed in sight, so he's got a good scope on his gun, which is like super useful on defense. And I think his other weapons are pretty decent as well. So, like, Rook is going to go in A tier for me. Okay, so now we have the Spetsnaz. So starting off with Fuse, who is basically my main right now on attack. I'm switching between Fuse and Hibana a lot, but Fuse is amazing. Hate playing against him, love playing as him, also enjoy having him on the team. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about Fuse. You just have to see him in action. His ability can be incredibly useful. I get kills with it very often. Obviously, it's great for destroying, you know, defender utility. And you know, not too long ago, he was actually buffed. He's now able to send his cluster charge through reinforced walls, and he has like 4 of them now. He used to only have 3. So Fuse has he's gone through a lot of changes, and he just keeps getting better and better. And yeah, Fuse is definitely S tier. Then I'm going to go ahead and say that Glaz is going straight to D tier. Glaz has become a little bit better with the new operator SENS. because Glaz can basically see through smoke and sense his ability now with like this high-powered scope. So you can see highlighted enemies, and his only weapon is this sniper, which I don't like very much. And yeah, obviously I play terribly as Glaz. No one really plays him that much at all, to be honest. And most of the time it seems like Glaz is just kind of stupid and useless. So I'm going to keep Glaz in D tier here. Then we have Tachanka. Tachanka is cool. He's got an awesome LMG, and his ability can be useful, but like for the most part, I don't really find Tachanka that useful. It's like a grenade launcher that shoots like fire grenades, and it's good for keeping attackers back, but that's about it. There's a lot of other operators that are better, so I'm going to have to put Tachanka in C tier. And then we have Kapkan, who just recently has been getting banned a ton in ranked, not only by us, but also by the enemies. It seems like a lot of people are starting to hate on Kapkan just because they hate playing against him, which makes him a better operator. And yeah, I'd have to agree. Kapkan's ability is super useful. I see people die to it all the time. And he's a pretty good defender that just seems to really annoy a lot of people. He seems to annoy a lot of people. So for that, I'm going to put him in A tier. Okay, so the GSG-9 starts off with Blitz. Blitz is another one of those operators that like everybody gets annoyed by, but that makes him good in a way. Basically, he just has a riot shield that is able to like shoot a blinding flash out. So I think you can imagine how annoying that is. I'm gonna have to put Blitz in B tier. Then we have IQ, who I've actually been playing quite a bit recently on attack. IQ is pretty basic, but her ability is quite useful. You're just able to see all of like the defender electronics inside the building. That includes cameras. You can even find the bombs if somehow you miss them on your drones. So IQ can be great. Sometimes it seems like she's kind of useless, but at other times she can actually be like amazing. So I'm gonna put IQ in B tier as well. We're getting a lot of operators in B tier here. It's because it's kind of like the mid-range zone. So next up is Bandit. Bandit is able to electrify reinforced walls, which obviously is really useful for keeping breachers out. There's some other alternatives that have come out since Bandit came out with this game. So there's alternatives that are better, but Bandit is pretty good, and he has 4 separate like boxes that you can place down. So you could divide them up as you want, basically. And for that, Bandit is pretty good. I'm going to put him in B tier as well, actually. And then we have Jaeger, who I think is an overrated operator. He's actually been nerfed many times now. And basically he just places down a device that shoots like projectiles that are coming in. A lot of the time I don't even find him that useful because one device can only shoot like one thing at a time. So if somebody throws in a grenade and it gets shot, they can just throw in a second one and then it's like, oh god, you're screwed. So yeah, honestly, like I'm going to put Jaeger in C tier. Alright, so we're finished with the Pathfinder operators, which means we are now moving on to the quote-unquote DLC operators, which actually make up the majority of the characters in the game now. So, first up we have Buck. Now, Buck is pretty awesome. I don't use him that much, but I kind of wish that I actually used him more because whenever I do play as him, I have a lot of fun with him. And his ability is great. It's like an underbarrel shotgun that can go on his DMR or his assault rifle, and it's great for breaching. You can also get kills with it. So I mean, like, where can you go wrong with Buck? Let's put him in A tier. And then we have Frost. Frost is awesome. I try not to play her all the time, but Frost is just one of those defending operators that I just love playing as, and I almost find her like always useful. So I'm gonna have to put her in S tier, just because of how awesome her ability is. And I mean, her guns are pretty good too. That shotgun is crazy. Then we have Blackbeard and Valkyrie. Blackbeard is always on the up and down for me. Sometimes he seems great, sometimes he seems terrible. Usually he's in the middle. And I think that's what we're going to do tonight as well. We're going to put him in B tier. He just has a see-through bulletproof rifle shield that can go on his guns. Then we have Valkyrie. Valkyrie has these little cameras, and there's a lot of other operators that have like bulletproof cameras and stuff, or even cameras as a part of other abilities. And then obviously there's cameras all over the map. So you may be thinking like, what real use does Valkyrie have? But her cameras are pretty crazy because they're tiny. You can throw them really far, so you can get them in like really hidden places. You know, the picture quality on them is pretty good. You can see with them very easily, and you can also move them around quickly as well. They have high sensitivity on them, so they're just like really versatile little cameras. Honestly, I don't play Valkyrie that much, and I don't find her that useful, but she isn't like terrible or useless, so we're gonna put her in C tier. Okay, next up is Capitao. So Capitao is a pretty rare operator. He doesn't get used that often, but at times he can be pretty crazy. He has a crossbow that can shoot bolts that will like expose smoke everywhere, or that can set fire. So he can actually do both of those with a crossbow that has a lot of range. And yeah, I'm going to put Capitao in B tier. He's a pretty well-rounded operator. Then we have Kavera. Now Kavera is like a stealth defending operator who is able to move around the map quickly, and then she has a pistol which she can use to down people very quickly and then interrogate them to scan the entire enemy team. So when Kavera works out, I would have to put her in S tier because of how useful her ability can be. But most of the time I feel like it isn't actually used properly, or the Kavera will just kind of mess up her job, whether I'm playing her or it's a fellow teammate, or even on the enemy team as well. Sometimes I'll get killed by a cav, and it's super annoying, or sometimes she'll totally screw up and then I'll end up killing her, and then she seems terrible. So I'm going to put Kavera in B tier as well. Yeah, we're going on to the second line here. Okay, so next up is Hibana. So even though I love Hibana and I have been playing her a lot, I'm not going to put Hibana in S tier because I don't think she's amazing as Frost or Fuse, but her ability is super good. She's my favorite hard breacher. Her ability is loud and it takes a lot of time, so it's not like the most versatile or you know, like the most like efficient, but what you can do with it is much more like creative than Thermite or Ace. She has like this gun that shoots out these little things that explode on the wall, and you can choose how many of them you shoot out at a time. So you can make like custom sized windows or doorways, and I feel like Hibana is actually underrated. She's usually seen as like that hard breacher that like, oh, like she's not as good as Thermite or Ace, but I think she's actually better than them both. So for me, Hibana is going to go in A tier. And then we have Echo here as well. Echo is starting to go under. I see him getting played less now, like less and less. He's not really getting banned that much anymore. He used to get banned all the time. He has a drone that you can fly around, and you can't even like fully fly it around. You can only like shoot it up to the ceiling. And then obviously you're able to scan enemies, or you can stun them as well with the Sonic Blast, which makes it pretty awesome. So for me, Echo is going to go in B tier. Alright, so our first Year 2 operator is Jackal. Jackal is pretty crazy. He gets banned almost all the time. You're able to scan enemy footsteps, which you can see all over the floor, and basically like know exactly where all the defenders are, at least the ones that have been roaming. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I think Jackal has to get at least A tier. Then we have Mira. I am also going to put Mira in A tier. I don't like playing her that often because I don't really enjoy using her guns, and I feel like I'm not the best at Mira, but what Mira can do and what some other people can do with her is actually quite crazy. So I'm going to put her in A tier. Then we have Ying. Ying, I'm pretty sure I put in S tier last year. I don't think I'm going to put her in S again, but I will put her in A. Just because her ability is like super crazy and annoying. Like it's a, you know, it's like a cluster stun grenade basically. So you can stun an entire room full of people, possibly the entire enemy team. And her guns are pretty good too. The only thing is, Ying can actually screw up her teammates as well, which obviously is really bad. So I'm going to put Ying in A tier. And then we have Legion, who I think I also put in S tier last year. Last year, I was like hardcore maining Legion. I don't play him that much at all anymore, but that doesn't make him bad or anything. I don't think he's S tier quality, but I will put him in A tier as well because Legion does have really good guns, and his ability is basically like always useful. It doesn't really matter on the map or the site. So yeah, we'll put Legion in A, along with Ying, Mira, and Jackal. Okay, so next up is Zofia. So Zofia is kind of like an alternative to Ashe. Basically just a better version of her, because Zofia's ability can also shoot stun grenades, and then her grenades, unlike Ashe's, like Ashe's will stick into the wall and then explode. Zofia basically shoots impact grenades out of her gun and stun grenades. So I mean, Zofia is basically just a better version of Ashe. The only issue is that Zofia got nerfed recently, and they made her arguably better gun, like way too recoil heavy. So yeah, I don't play Zofia that often, but she can be a pain on the enemy team, and I've seen some people do some great things with her. So Zofia is going to go in A tier for me. And then we have Ela. Ela's pretty interesting. She also has a super recoil heavy SMG. She has an amazing shotgun. And honestly, I don't really like Ela's ability that much. Like, it's slightly annoying when you're an attacker playing against her, but for the most part, like, I don't find it that useful on the defending team. Like, it just kind of stuns people like as a proximity grenade almost. And I think there's a lot of other defending abilities that are better. But I will give Ela B tier because she does have some good guns and stuff, so we'll put her in B. And then we have Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is another annoying operator. She basically calls all the defenders' cell phones so that the attackers can hear them if they're roaming or whatever, or where they're hiding. And then also enemies that she's killed, she's able to take their phone and then look at the defender cameras. So Dokkaebi I don't think is used enough. I don't really enjoy her, mainly because she doesn't have an assault rifle. Dokkaebi only has a DMR or a shotgun as her primary weapons, and I think that kind of brings her down, actually, to B tier. I think normally I would put her in A. And then we have Vigil. Vigil is another operator that's kind of always been up and down for me. Vigil is super cool and everything, but obviously I'm not rating my operators here based on like their looks or their cool factor. It's more like how useful they actually are in the game. And Vigil's ability is cool. Like, you can be invisible to drones, or really any other way of being scanned by attackers. But yeah, it's not like amazing or anything. So I think Vigil will also go in B tier. Alright, so we're about halfway here, and we're moving on to year 3, which starts off with Lion. So yeah, Lion is another operator that has like a super basic ability. All you really do is just scan, and then you can see where all the defenders are, if they are moving. If they stand still, which it gives them a huge warning beforehand, then obviously nothing happens and you end up wasting the ability. So when Lion is used properly, he's awesome. If not, he's not really that great. He's going to get B tier for me. Then we have Finka. Finka is another one of those operators that's starting to get banned more. I think people are starting to see how good Finka actually is. I don't actually remember where I put her last year, but I feel like my opinion of Finka has always kind of been the same, and that's that she's a pretty good operator. She's not amazing, but she's pretty good. So for me, that's A tier. And next up is Alibi. I definitely remember putting Alibi in S tier last year. She's not S tier anymore, but Alibi can be pretty useful. Like, when her ability works out, it's great. It's more of like an idiot detector. It's basically like a hologram that you put up. You can put it up in windows or at doorways, like through a hole or whatever. And if the attackers see it and they think it's a real defender, they can shoot it and they'll get scanned. So yeah, Alibi is awesome, just not S tier anymore. We're gonna put her in A. And then we have Maestro here as well. Maestro, I think I'm also gonna put in A tier. He has these big, bulky, but bulletproof cameras, and you're actually able to shoot out of them as well. and do damage to the attackers. So let's put Maestro in A tier. Alright, so I just went to grab a drink actually because my throat is starting to get dry after all this talking. Anyways, we still have a few more to go through here, so next up is Maverick. I'm just going to go ahead and put Maverick in B tier. I don't usually play Maverick that often, but I like teaming up with him with a few certain operators, especially IQ. IQ and Maverick together would both be S tier, but without each other, they're both going to be B tier, which is most of the time, sadly. Next up, we have Clash. Clash is another hated operator, super annoying when you're going against her, but she's also kind of annoying when you're on the same team as her as well, just because she's kind of similar to Montang. She has this big shield that's actually like fully see-through, and she can like shoot electricity out of it and stuff. And she has pretty good weapons as well that she can just pull out from behind her shield. So I'm gonna put Clash in C tier, just because sometimes she's good, but not often. And then we have Nomad. Nomad I'm gonna put in B tier beside Maverick, because her ability is it's pretty cool. I don't use her that often, and most of the time, like, it's not really like, you know, it's a cool ability that can be used most of the time, but like, it's not that substantial when it is used properly. And after that, we have Cade, or the proper way to pronounce it, I believe, is Kaid, but most people just call him Cade. And he's basically the better version of Bandit, or at least that was what he was when he came out. He has Electro Claws, only 2 of them, unlike Bandit who has 4. But 1 Electro Claw can actually electrify up to 3 walls, and basically any other kind of like metal devices nearby. So shields, barbed wire, anything. It can all get electrified in like one kind of big circle around the Electro Claw. So Cade is going to go in A tier for me. Alright, so moving on to the big fatty Gridlock. Gridlock, I usually find pretty annoying, but her ability is also kind of trash. It used to be worse in my opinion. I don't think Gridlock has really been through any changes, but I think I actually had Gridlock in D tier last year. This year, I think we're going to move her up to C tier because Gridlock can be useful, and when she's played properly, it's great. And like I always say, Gridlock really is kind of uncommon. She's not played that often. And, you know, her ability makes a lot of noise and stuff like that, but it can be super good. I've actually died a few times to Gridlock's traps, which, as embarrassing as it is, it makes her ability somewhat useful. So, yeah, we're going to keep Gridlock in C tier. Then next up would be Mozzie. Mozzie is like I don't know if he's an overrated operator, but like an overplayed operator, if that makes sense. Like Mozzie is just like played all the time, and like I don't really know why. Like he's okay. He's like a slightly better version of Mute. But yeah, he just seems like overpopular. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Then we have Nook. So Nook is like a mixture of Vigil and Kavera, but for attack. So you can't see her on cameras, and she's quiet. And I think she was buffed recently too, where like certain gadgets won't be set off by Nook. So she's a really good stealth operator. A lot of people don't like her because she's like a super like self-off. Like she doesn't really help the team at all. But I like playing as Nook, especially when I'm going solo or trying to take out roamers or whatever. So Nook is gonna get A tier for me. And Warden. Warden is a very interesting one because Warden has always been kind of known as like one of the most useful or one of the most useless operators. He has an ability where it's like glasses that you can not get stunned basically when you're wearing these glasses, and you can also see through smoke. So when it is used, it's super good. He's basically like anti-Ying. He's like anti like anybody with smoke grenades. He can also see through SENS' new ability, so that makes Warden just that much better as well. But the ability itself, like the way it's done, is just kind of trash. Like you have to be standing still, I'm pretty sure, and you can only have the glasses on for a certain amount of seconds at a time. So that just makes Warden really bad. I think if Warden gets a buff, he could actually be one of the best operators in this game. But right now, he's still one of the worst. He's going to go in C tier for me. Alright, so getting closer to the end here, we have Amaru. Amaru is an interesting operator. I don't remember where I put her last year. This year I'm probably going to put her in B tier, just because sometimes she can be pretty great, sometimes not so much. It really depends on the map and kind of like the approach of not only the person who's playing Amaru, but the whole team. She's much better on a team that's trying to rush in and get in there quickly, rather than a team that's trying to stay back and take a slower approach, because then sometimes Amaru will just go in and die, and then you're left with only 4 teammates left. So she's going to go in B tier for me. Next up we have Goyo, who is a, man, I hate to do this, but I put Goyo in D tier last year, and I said that, I'm pretty sure I said that if Goyo got a buff, I would move him up. But Goyo did get a buff, or at least a rework. They changed him, and he's still pretty bad. So I think I gotta keep Goyo in D tier. And then we have Callie. Callie is another sniper, kind of like Glaz. She's a little bit better than Glaz, I will admit, because not only is her gun better, in my opinion, but her ability as well. She shoots like this thing that can, like, basically just kind of, it works very similar to Thatcher. Not as good as Thatcher, but almost as good as Thatcher. That's the best way to explain it. So that plus her sniper, that's going to keep her out of D tier, and we'll put her in C. And then we have Womai. Womai is basically just a better version of Jaeger, so that's pretty simple. I'm going to put Womai in B tier. Okay, so now we have the year 5 operators, starting off with Iana. Iana is like really an interesting operator actually, because she has like an ability similar to Alibis, but it's a hologram that you can actually use. So you can activate Iana's hologram, and then you're actually able to run around, and to the defenders it looks exactly like the real Iana, just running in there, guns blazing, ready to rush, when in reality it's actually just a hologram. And I don't think it scans the defenders or anything when they shoot at it like Alibi, but it is super good for the Iana to kind of get some intel and see what the site's looking like. So I'm going to put Iana in A tier. And then we have Oryx. Oryx is pretty cool as well. He's able to basically just to run through walls. So for one of the newer operators, he actually has a pretty basic and simplistic ability. He does take a little bit of damage as well, but I think that's worth it because you can basically infinitely do it. He can just charge through any soft wall. He can knock attackers down to the floor, including those who have shields. Plus, he's also able to passively just like climb up through open hatches. So he's really good for like moving around the building and stuff like that. I'm going to have to put Oryx in B tier, which is going to bring this to 3 rows now. And this is going to be another controversial one. So next up is Ace. Ace is often regarded as the best hard breacher. In my opinion, Hibana is better. And honestly, I like Thermite better as well. Now, I'm not going to put Ace down low. He's going to go in B tier with Thermite. Because Ace isn't bad enough for C tier. But in my opinion, Thermite is slightly better. I don't really play as either of them. But Ace has actually been through a few nerfs. He used to be great. He has this thing that you throw, and it's kind of like Hibana's ability, but it's actually faster. Like it rolls down the wall and just like breaches it open. It used to do it 3 times, and now it only does it twice. Plus, they took away his ACOG, and I think at one point they took away his smoke grenades or something, but then gave them back. I don't really remember. I don't play Ace that often, but on my team, I would rather have a Thermite than an Ace. I like Thermite's holes a lot better than Ace's holes, and then just over both of them, I'll always take Hibana, but we're going to put Ace in B tier. And then we have Melusi. When Ace and Melusi both came out, I was playing them so much. Both of them are kind of not as cool to me as they used to be. They've both been nerfed. Melusi used to have the amazing T5 SMG. Now she has the MP5. which is also pretty good, but she doesn't have the 2.0 like Rook or anything. So yeah, Malusi's going to go in B tier with Ace. All right, we are on to the final stretch. So starting off with Zero, who came out in Shadow Legacy, which was the first season to only have one operator rather than two coming out at a time. So Zero is also the only like guest character in this game, I guess. He's actually supposed to be a character from the Splinter Cell games that Ubisoft used to make. But the way they brought him into Siege is pretty cool. He has this little camera that he can shoot, and you basically shoot it onto the wall, and then you can see on the other side of the wall, whether it's a soft wall or a hard one. And yeah, pretty useful, but he's not really used that much. And his camera even has a little gun on it that you can use to shoot stuff. So yeah, like it's pretty cool, but like I feel like it's just not really used that much, and he could be better. Maybe a little buff or something, and he'd be up there. But for now, he's going to be in B tier. Then we have Aruni. Aruni is pretty cool. She has a cool passive ability where she can punch like giant holes in the wall. So she's great for making rotate holes or making like big holes to shoot through. And then her actual ability is pretty great too. She activates like a laser gate that can stop like anything from going through the door basically. So any drone or any like attacker gadget, as well as the attackers themselves, it'll damage them if they go through. The only problem is when it does get stopped, like when something does go through it, it actually shuts off. So it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. We're going to put her in A tier. Next up is Flores. So yeah, Flores was the newest operator at the time of my last tier list, and I believe I had him in A tier. I'm going to keep him in A tier actually because I don't really play Flores that much anymore. But you know, he's got some pretty well-rounded guns and stuff, and then his ability is pretty cool. Plus the fact that he has 4 of them, it's pretty awesome. So we're going to put him in A tier. And we also have Thunderbird here. So we're now moving on to the operators that were not in the game when I did my last tier list. So for me, Thunderbird is going to go in A tier. I think a lot of people would put her in S. Some people might put her lower. But she's a medic, kind of like Doc, just way better. She places her things down on the ground, and they can, you know, heal someone, and then they'll start loading and get ready to heal again. And yeah, obviously you can use it for revives. You can use it to heal your teammates, heal yourself. Thunderbird is just super useful and has pretty good guns as well. So we're going to put Thunderbird in A tier. Okay, moving on to Osa. So Osa is a really interesting operator in a way because she has like deployable shields, which are a defender ability, but she's able to use deployable shields on attack, but in a different way. They're actually see-through. So she's able to see through them, and you can see the defenders. Sadly, it doesn't work like Mira. The defenders are able to see through the shield as well. But obviously, if you're like behind the shield and you're looking at the defender and they're in plain sight, and you pop up to shoot them, the defender is going to have a lot less time to react and shoot you back as soon as you like pop up from the shield. Obviously, it works really well on Windows as well. The only problem is it's super easily destroyed. It can get blown up with anything, and then at that point, you're basically screwed. So for me, Osa is going to go in B tier. And then we have Thorn, the last year 6 operator. So Thorn came out a while ago now, and I have to say, basically since Thorn came out, I've been maining her on defense. Like, I don't know what it is with Thorn, but she has a whole new gun. It's a 50 caliber SMG, so a super good gun. And her ability is crazy too. It's super good for getting kills and stuff like that. So yeah, honestly, I actually have to put Thorn in S tier. And then we have Azami, who is the first year 7 operator. She just came out last season. So Azami is cool, but at the end of the day, she's not actually that good. She's almost like a slightly better version of Castle. When someone plays Azami when we already have a Castle, or if someone plays Castle when we already have an Azami, it actually kind of makes me mad because they do a very similar thing Azami covers off doorways and can basically just create these big like concrete walls of her own with these little kunai that you can throw. So it's great for like getting like specific angles and stuff like that that you want on attackers that are going to be coming in. But for the most part, like she's not really that useful, and I'm actually going to have to put her in C tier. And then the moment you've all been waiting for, SENS, the new operator that just came out for Year 7 Season 2 of Rainbow Six Siege. And honestly, there's been a lot of talk about SENS, a lot of controversy. Most people do not like them. I made a video about SENS, and the video was literally titled SENS is bad. So I think you know where I'm going to put them. Yeah, SENS is getting the D. So, let's review this tier list here quickly. Alright, this is the end result. So this is the full tier list, all 64 operators. And if you guys couldn't tell, D tier is the worst, so basically bad. Then C tier would be okay. B tier is good, A tier is great, and S tier is like the best. So basically what I was saying that I was going to do was I haven't looked at my old tier list in a while actually. There's a lot of operators that sadly I remember where I put them, but what I didn't want to do was look at my tier list from last year and then have that influence my decisions for this year, whether I would have seen them and be like, oh, maybe I should put this operator somewhere different, or if I maybe wanted to keep them the same and not seem like I've changed that much. So I have not looked at my old tier list in a long time. I'm actually going to go watch that video after this and see how different it is. But yeah, if you guys have not seen my tier list from last year, or if you have and you want to compare it to this tier list, feel free to go check out that one as well and compare the two tier lists, because I know there are some big differences. One of which is S tier, which now only has 3 operators: Fuse, Frost, and Thorn. I feel like those 3 operators are super OP compared to everyone else. When I play as them, I don't know, I really like everything about them. Their guns, their abilities, all that stuff. Whereas the other operators, like even like A tier, like those are all pretty great operators, but they don't quite make S tier. And I know I had like 5 operators in S tier last year. I think the other 3 were Legion, Ying, and Alibi, who have all gone down to A now. And then obviously Thorn has come out, so Thorn is also in S tier for me. But yeah, so this was pretty fun to do. It took a while. It's a lot of talking, and obviously I had to find a good tier list that had all of the operators in it. I had to set up everything. Sadly, the mic still sounds terrible on my laptop. I don't know why, but yeah, I tried fixing it. It never really works. So I've kind of accepted that at this point. But yeah, so now I'm gonna go upload this video. It's already quite late, but I want to get this out tonight. And then yeah, that's basically it. This is my Rainbow Six Siege operator tier list for 2022. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye.